So they think that after I pay the wages, I pay for the material, whatever is the bank charges that I pay, and then what I get finally is mine. Yes, that happens to start with, but you have to target yourself as an entrepreneur to make what kind of return on the capital that you have to make. And that's where this pitching really comes handy, because if somebody likes your idea, how are they thinking that their capital will make money because of your formula of enterprise? And what are they considering? That if I were to put that money in fixed deposit, gives me 6%, if I give it in annuity, yield 9 to 11%, if I take risk in the share market, you know what is the Nifty's 20 years returns? People think people make big money in stock market. Any guess? 14% figure. So it's not a great return. It's not 20s and 30s as you know. Sometimes it is made out to be. Businesses make more money than what investing can make, because businesses create value. Okay? When we listed the port company in 2007, it was 18,000 crores, the value. Today it is 3,18,000 crores and plus. Okay? Of course, the business has expanded multifold, but what happens is when you run your own business, you get multiple of the earning that your business is likely to generate. So you have to be very mindful of the roti for your own business. And that starts at the smallest scale. If you forget that, you will never ask for it. So you will lose your own value. What does being in business mean? You should have a product or an idea of a service. You must know what is the addressable market. Yeah. As you were mentioning, 1,000 units of tiles manufacturing in Morbi, and we are the second largest tile manufacturing country globally. We compete against China. Okay. This exact information I only learned 20 minutes back. That means a lot of enterprise has gone to build this kind of ecosystem and business. There must have been a strategy to do this. Government must have helped, people must have taken advantage of it. And to put these three things together, once again, the role of an entrepreneur, the enterprise, is to put the organization together. Always imagine yourself as the conductor of an orchestra who is making others play various instruments or sing, and you control the whole outcome. Or you tend to make all the efforts to control the entire outcome. That's your role as an entrepreneur. You can't get into doing somebody else's role except for a few hours, few days, few weeks when you don't have that resource. I always say this in a session like this, the entrepreneur's role is like a joker in the circus. If the lion falls sick, the joker is capable of wearing that nice camouflage and go around as if there is a real lion roaring. But that's for a show, not for the entire life. That's the versatility. So you build a team around yourself, starting with maybe one or two people, and make sure that they are part of your journey, reward them well, so that your idea really goes to the market and you multiply your own effort. That's also where you should ask a question of roti. What if I did this myself? How much time will I spend on this particular task? Versus can I hire somebody who do this in a given set of money and I can do something more? You can take risks, you can look for new markets. A person that you hire may only work in a given market that you have defined for them. And you find a person who is very entrepreneurial. What the term is used is intrapreneur. There are entrepreneurs within the organization. Always reward them with stocks. Always reward them with percentage of profit. And you will build your team to be a smarter team. One of the mistakes people do is they are afraid of hiring a competent person. So as they say in organization building, an A hires an A, but B always hires a C. Because B is afraid that somebody would eat me alive. So B always tends to hire a C. But an A is capable, would enhance one's own capability as one is going. And therefore A doesn't mind hiring another A. That's the idea of building an organization. And this is what you should be. 1 plus 1 can be 11, 1 plus 1 can be 10, 1 plus 1 can be 100. Is what kind of cohesive organization, the like-minded people that you build as a team. Because Pablo Picasso, Michelangelo, they're never going to work in team. They are an institution by themselves. So we must accept two things, that I am a common person and I get common people like me around myself to build an uncommon outcome. That should be your thinking. Uncommon outcomes are better product, higher market share, better execution, and all with shorter days to cash. Whenever you do everything, go back to the question, why am I in business? I want to remain in business. How would I remain in business if I convert my cash at the fastest and bring it back to myself so that I can run the operations? Imagine you are running a manufacturing unit which has 100 rupees of turnover, 60 rupees of material requirement, and you are carrying the whole 12 months inventory to yourself. That is 60 rupees. And if you are borrowing that's 60 rupees and 10% is the interest, you will pay 6 rupees. But imagine if that 60 inventory level you can bring it down to say 10. You are running with 2 months inventory. That means at any point of time you are not sitting on more than 10 rupees inventory. That means your interest cost will come down from 6 to 1. And rest of 5 rupees always goes to the equity. So whatever is your outcome is going to help you and nobody else. So always be focused on shorter days to cash. Let's just go further. These are the companies in India running for many years. And this is from their published annual account. Look at their focus on cash. I said this presentation is going to remain here. And you can actually go back and read their balance sheets. There's nothing that I'm putting here is not something you can find out. You know what Unilever and Nestle do? They ask their vendors to give them 90 to 180 days credit. And they take money in advance to sell their goods. So they always have this. So when you set up a business, don't get lured into selling something without realizing how soon this money is going to come back. Because bad debt is another thing the business would not be able to afford. Now I'm not saying don't give reasonable credit, but always be mindful of how you control that particular risk. Same thing. Godrej has built a business much later, but they are working with 12. Marico 34. And look at some other industries. Let's go to the next page. Fast moving consumer goods that we talked about, 46 days cash conversion cycle. Pharmaceuticals, 190 days. Okay? IT software, 75 days. People don't pay. You don't remain in business. As I read at some merchant shop several years ago, Confucius is quoted by saying the following, that you ask credit, I no give, you get mad. I give credit, you no pay, I get mad. Better you get mad. Okay? So that is how people are using their cash conversion. All of you, besides running business, the ladies at least, are running a household, which is very complex. Nobody ever asked you what is the SKUs that you are dealing with. Okay? More than 1,000. Idiosyncrasies of the family members, the idiosyncrasies of the staff that you deal with, the supply chain that fails you. Yes, today there is Swiggy's and Zomato's of the world, but still they can also go wrong. And then to combine that with your business or career is no mean a task. Which this is something that you have mastered intuitively. Indian women or Asian women for that matter have mastered the art of running a household intuitively. And I think males realize that, therefore beyond a point they conceive the argument easily, whether it is to their mother or their spouses, etc. Okay, and I'm saying it publicly, but I say it with very clear understanding that that's the reality. So you have already mastered something which is very complex. Why can't you run a business? Robert Frost said this, the world is full of willing people, some willing to work and others willing to live. You have to find people as to who you are dealing with. When you identify them right, you are safe and you are successful. Thank you. sectors when you are raring to go, manufacturing toys, selling them. I have finally tried to bring it down to what are the few lessons that you should not lose sight of when you are building your business. That's the whole idea. I'm going to go at a fair amount of speed so that there's enough time for you guys to ask me questions at the end. But if you want to stop me in between, feel free. Don't really hesitate. This question was asked in a room like this, and people said to be a good corporate citizen, to contribute to the economy, to generate employment, to help my nation grow, etc., etc., were the answer. The answer given by some wise men is to remain in business. Okay. If you are in business every single day, you have to tell yourself that you are in business. The copy of this presentation is going to be back with them. You can take that copy. There is nothing here that I am writing which is proprietary. I only am sharing my learning because of you. So feel free to take the copy and use it as you want. So you have to remind yourself when you are building business that you have to remain in business. You should not get distracted by anything else. Certainly not by what somebody else is doing. Because your formula is your formula. Somebody else's formula is somebody else's formula. And some people say, what is the macro like? And what is the weather like? If you have to go to the office, if you are living in city of Mumbai, and if you are living in Palghar and you have to hit Churchgate, what you have to do is whether I can get the 8:22 train on time. And then train will take care and I'll go to Churchgate. So you have to be focused. And you have to remind yourself of this one. Let's go to the next one. There are 4 pillars. And here is your role. You get an office which is the land. These are 4 classic factors of production that economists have talked about. Labor is you hire people for different skills, what you don't have, or what you can get for lesser money than your own cost. Capital is your own money and you borrow money. Okay? Borrowing is less expensive as it looks like, but it can hit you hard if you can't repay. So, most important why I brought this chart here is your role as owner or entrepreneur. Because enterprise is the art of making that formula work. If you give me the design of the toys that you are building, and Apurva gives me some capital, and they give me some factory to run it, it could be a disaster. Okay. What you make success out of 4 things, I would surely make a disaster if I don't have that soft factor called the entrepreneurship. And that's what TiE stands for. So if you are doing something, as I said, be reminded of your purpose and be focused as to mix other ingredients to make sure that you use your recipe work very well. Let's go further. Late Professor Bhattacharya said very interesting thing. Let's go one by one. And this is what I want you to remember all the time. Let's go further. If revenue is vanity, that's the top line, how much business you are doing. Profit is sanity. If I am doing something, it should lead to some profit. I sell it at a price higher than the cost at which I build the business. But cash is the reality. I sell you this phone. For how much will you buy this phone? It's a second-hand iPhone 14 used for 4 years. But if I were to make you a very interesting proposition, would you consider buying this? 40,000. Okay? You for how much?
45.
आप खरीदेंगे इसको?
First, I need to look at my requirement.
Would you buy it or not? We buy many things which we don't need. I'm not taking a dig at you, but I'm just saying generally, Yeah.
Not going to buy.
You're not going to buy. So, what should be my question to you or Apurva? You said 40, you said 45. If you have to leave, you can leave.
No, I'm just getting checked for this.
Okay. Apurva is a smart businessman. He wouldn't tell me this. He would say, I'll bring 45,000, but next Diwali of 2027. That's what he would do, mostly. You might pay me now, you send somebody home, say get the cash, I'm getting a great deal. I'm not saying you're not as smart, but this is what you should be focusing on when you are doing business. You can't become somebody's bank when you are doing business. And cash discount can't work at 2%. Even GE runs their own whole portal with a competitive bid that they call from their vendors, and people take discounts or give discounts of 20 or 40% for money, which is like due next month. Because capital in hand, you can maybe use much better. So remember, top line is important, profit is important, but converted into cash is what you should be always trying for. Let's go next. Let's understand the cash conversion cycle, though most of you know it. Just do it fully. People in manufacturing know they buy raw material to get the manufacturing going. They make finished goods out of it, and then they sell it to somebody. And debtor just sits on the money, doesn't give you money. So your focus at every stage, and I'm going to show you actual companies' data to drive this point. My only purpose of coming here this evening is to give you 2 or 3 messages. What's the purpose of being in business? To remain in business. How can you remain in business is to keep focusing on your cash conversion cycle. And how some companies in India are doing it, large ones at that. We think larger the company gets, difficult it is for them to convert their cycle to cash, and we will see how super some of these companies are really running their cash cycles. It's surprising numbers, and that is from their audited published account, so we can't dispute it. Let's go further. Just go. People always cost everything. When you are an entrepreneur, learn to respect your time and ask for return on your time. And how you can ask for return on this time is, look, if I were to spend 10 hours every day for 5 days a week for months together, what will my skill get me? Remember that chart where I said land, labor, capital and enterprise? It sounds very nice. I was executive director, group CFO for Adani Group. But whatever I do, I would fall in the second category, labor.